We will get going. Here we go. Okay, can everybody hear me? Give me a wave or a sign if anybody can't, and I will get going. And can everybody see, just checking Mike and you can see the presentation still? Yeah, good. Great, thank you guys. Hi everybody. Thank you for coming along to our session today. Without further ado, I'm just going to give a brief presentation, a bit of an introduction to the program, and then there will be lots of time afterwards for a Q&A. Yes, as I said, welcome. My name is Gemma Wright. I am the Programme Director for the Distance Learning MSc at Glasgow in Sport and Exercise Science and Medicine. And yes, it was a warm welcome to you all. And I want to just tell you a little bit about our programme to allow you to be fully informed and to know about the programme that you're interested in being part of. So what I'm going to go through today is I'm going to talk a little bit about why Glasgow and why this specific program. I'm going to allow you to show you some of our team that you'd be working with here at Glasgow. And we have some of the team on the call today as well, who I'll introduce you to. Have a quick look through the program structure, which is available online, but I've done a little schematic, which I think makes it a bit more intuitive about what the program will actually look like for you. We'll look at program delivery, our residential week, what support you'll be offered from an IT perspective, because obviously with it being online, it's important that we have a good support team behind you to make sure things work, because there's nothing more frustrating than when they don't. We'll talk about research projects for those who want to go through to do the full MSc, and graduate destinations, and to take some questions at the end. So I've already had some questions that have been posted to me in advance, so I'll cover them first, but then we will open it up to you guys. You can either post something in the chat if you don't want to say anything out loud, or you can come on and come and speak to us in person. So why Glasgow? Obviously, as you can see here, we are a rich cultural city in the centre of Scotland. So obviously, I'm not sure what backgrounds or you guys have, where you're from. You might be from the UK. We have students from across the globe that take part in our programme. So yeah, we obviously give you the opportunity to come and visit us here in Glasgow as well, but it's important for you to kind of know what you're getting into when you come and if you come to Glasgow. But Glasgow itself is a university. We're ranked in the World Top 100 and the Times Higher Education World Rankings. We have about 43,000 students from more than 140 countries worldwide. So we are a large international community and a very welcoming university for our international students and our UK students. We're ranked in the UK's top 20 for graduate employability. That's an important factor, as you'll hopefully be aware. We want you to have jobs at the end. A lot of people come on to the distance learning, they've already in careers and already got jobs, but it's important that this program takes you where you want to go next, whether it's the next step in the current job that you're in or looking for a new opportunity. So we're very much about employability. We've got loads of clubs and societies, over 300 clubs and societies that even if you're on the distance learning, you can be involved in. So don't think it's you don't have connections at the university itself in Glasgow. You'll have the opportunity to take part in groups and societies if you wish. And there are all sorts of kind of other opportunities, either to come to Glasgow or to kind of to travel and really be a international student with lots of opportunities across the globe. So why specifically this MSc? So this is one of the few MSCs actually that merges the sports science and the sports medicine aspect, and we think that's a real pull for the program. So we have a really diverse range of students that come on to the program. Some have very classic kind of sports science background, come from sports science undergrad, or been working in the field for a while. We have lots of physios, doctors, and people who work in sports injuries. And we also have a lot of people who come from a kind of clinical side of things. So more from my area of expertise, which is public health. So we have lots of students who come from like a physical activity, exercise prescription kind of background as well. So this degree, as you can probably hear, does actually cater for a wide range of students from different backgrounds. It's also useful for you as well, is because you're not just coming to do degree, you're here to build a network as well. So you're going to have quite a diverse range of other colleagues that you'll be able to connect with, which is again really important for looking at employability and future career opportunities. We're ranked first in the UK for sports science. Our program is accredited by the Royal Society of Biology. We have not just our staff, which I'm going to introduce you to next, but we bring in a lot of guests to come and speak on our program. So we obviously, between our core team, can't cover all the topics that we cover on the program, but where we have connections within various different disciplines, they come on and they speak to us on the program. So you will be getting world leaders in the area of sport and exercise science and sports medicine. And I think this is a really key thing to make sure that you're getting the absolute best from the program. We also have, you might have seen, there's a sports injuries course as part of our program, which is based out at Hampden Sports Clinic. So for those of you who don't know Scotland, Hampden is the home of Scottish football and the Scottish Football Association. And we have Hampden Sports Clinic. They run a very significant business there. Katie Stewart is the director of Hampden Sports Clinic, and so our sports injuries courses are run through them. So we have really the best people working in the field, in clinics, in sport, who come and teach on the program. So a little bit more about your team. So obviously that's me there. We also have a program director, Stuart Gray, who is program director of the On Campus. So our distance learning community is about 30 to 40 students at the moment. So we have the 3-year program where we have about 40 students across kind of all 3 years, but we also have, each year we get a new cohort of on-campus students. So your program is merged with the on-campus students as well. So you actually would be part of a cohort of about 130 students in total, which I think is a real pull of our program. So Stuart, he's the program director of the on-campus and I'm the program director of the online. But we sit in the same office together, also with Mike, who is in the call, who's going to hopefully, actually, Mike, do you want to introduce yourself since you are actually here?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike, and I've worked at the university since last year. Moved from another academic institution and came into academia from working full-time in applied practice in football. So my outlook on things is very much about how we sort of turn theory into practice. I'm still involved in applied work, working with the Scottish national teams and working with various governing bodies and football clubs around the world. I'm recently just back from a research project in New Zealand, working with the Oceania Football Confederation on some stuff. So it's I find a really interesting topic area. If anyone else has questions about that kind of stuff, I'm more than happy to take them. But yeah, I've worked here since last June as a lecturer in sports science and to help sort of with the redevelopment of the master's programme.
Great, thanks, Mike. So we'll show you some of the courses that Mike takes. I'm going to come on to the visual of what the program kind of looks like. Stuart also takes, his background is muscle physiology. So he's a professor of muscle physiology, interest in sarcopenia and nutrition. So he will takes our sports and exercise science nutrition course. Jason Gill is the co-director of both the programs. Jason has a background in physical activity, diabetes, and kind of epidemiology. So he takes all of our physical activity aspect. Carlos also takes some of the physical activity work. So he is a big epidemiologist who does a lot of work within secondary data analysis and biobank data. Obviously, you've met Mike, and then we've got Katie and Alan, and actually a whole group of people out at Hampden. There's not even a slide to host them all. So Katie leads the program, and she's the director at Hampden Sports Clinic. And then we've got physios and doctors based at Hampden Sports Clinic who will be teaching you. And then one of the courses that we're looking at, I'll show you in a minute. We have Douglas Morrison and John McClure, who John is our statistician, and Douglas is our research methods expert. So I'll show you where they kind of fit into the program as well. But obviously a very pivotal person who you'll have probably the most contact with out of anybody is Lindsay Ross, who is our program administrator. Lindsay, do you want to come on and just say a quick hi to everyone?
Hi everyone, as Gemma says, I'm Lindsay and I'm the Programme Administrator for Sports Campus, Sports Online and Cardiovascular Sciences. So like Gemma says, I'll be your first point of contact throughout your whole year with us. I'll be reaching out to most of you around August in regards to enrolment. So yeah. And then obviously throughout the time that you're here, yeah.
So Lindsay is probably the one you're going to hear from the most. So she's a very important person to have on the call today. So this is what I was kind of referring to earlier on. This is actually, it is online, but not in this visual. I'm a very visual person, so I like to put it in this way. So our MSc is a 3-year program for the distance learning. Some people choose to do it in less time. But typically we find with people who are working or working part-time and taking time out to do this, that actually spreading it across the 3 years is useful. One key thing I think about our program as well is the fact that you can pause your studies. So if you something happens at work and you or something happens in life and in your personal life that you need to pause, then you let us know, we pause your program, and then you can pick it up at a later date. So you have 6 years in which to complete the full MSc, which I think is a real advantage of what we're kind of offering here. The other thing is that after each year, so if you do the 2 years and you get the credits that you need for that, you can then come out with a qualification whether you go on to do the full MSc. So the full MSc, you'll see here I've written credits. So like what exactly are credits? So the full program is 180 credits. Okay, so each year we look at roughly 60 credits. If you're on campus, you do your 180 credits across the 1 year. So that's, yeah, we're trying to get you to 180 credits for your MSc. But if you finish on 60, you get your certificates. And then is it the way around? I'm trying to think, the certificate, diploma, and then the full MSc. So regardless of when you finish, you will get a qualification, which I think is also really important. So year 1, we have research methods and statistics. That's what Douglas and John are taking. And that actually runs across, we kind of see it as 3 semesters. So you start with us in September. And so semester 1 is basically September till Christmas. Semester 2 is January till about now, so about Easter time, actually. And then we have semester 3, which runs up to kind of the end of June. But as you can see, we don't actually use semester 3 normally for new content. It's a big kind of catch-up time. So for example, research methods, this is your only required course you have to do. You do your research methods semester 1, stats more in semester 2, and then you've got a whole period of time up until the summer where you can catch up on materials and do the assessments. When you're doing this as well, you then will choose for semester 1, there is another optional course you can take. So you'll see the courses will repeat, so you get the chance to do all the courses you want to do pretty much. So in year 1, you'll choose another 2, one in semester 1 and one in semester 2. And hopefully you've had a chance to look online at all the courses we have available. But just to kind of go through that with you, got nutritional aids, which is what Stuart will take. Factors influence performance will be Mike. Physical activity and health is Jason, and exercise prescription is me. And hopefully the titles are relatively self-explanatory. So for example, exercise prescription, we look at people with kind of health conditions or special, like I do a lot of work with Parkinson's UK and trying to look at exercise programs specifically for people with Parkinson's or people with diabetes. Physical activity and health is very much looking at the research behind why we think there's a benefit for physical activity and exercise for people. Nutritional aids is looking more at, so like I said, Stuart's side of things, of supplementation and how we actually make the most out of what we're kind of getting in and eating and getting in our bodies. And factors influence performance. Mike, actually, are you able to talk to your courses here briefly?
Yeah, sure. So as Gemma has said there, I've been made responsible for the factors influence and performance course, the working with elite athletes course, and the technology and analytics and sport and exercise course in semester 2. So I won't go through individually exactly what all of those entail, but all three of those courses are aimed at being as applied as possible, and aimed about trying to work in real world scenarios with real world data and things that are actually happening in practice. Quite often, I think a mistake that universities make generally is to teach theory and not to show you what it actually means out in practice. So we certainly make a strong attempt within all the courses, but these ones in particular for me, to make sure that you understand the relevance of the information inside the classroom to the outside world. And we're constantly trying to use, as I say, real world data and case studies to make that evident, as well as the sort of more traditional group classes or traditional lecture style classes. We also try and get as many practical sessions into those as possible, where we'll have experience of working with different technologies, different softwares, different pieces of wearable technology, for example. In the technology and data analytics, we work with things like GPS technology or accelerometry, and sort of teach how to use the equipment, how to download, disseminate, and make sense of data. So those are the ones that I'm involved in mainly.
Yep, thanks, Mike. And I think that's a key aspect, is we're keen on the practical side of things as well. So even in, so we have Garth Cube, which is one of our big sports area, and with our big pitches and things like that. And so the on-campus students go out and they do work there. But I'll share with you a bit about how the distance learning then get to be involved in that as well. Even in exercise prescription, we have tasks for you to go and do, which means we want you to physically go out and test stuff and do stuff. So you have tasks you can take away that you do to get the practical kind of aspect, because I think that's quite a hard thing to replicate in the distance learning, but we do endeavour to try and make sure that happens. And one of the ways we do that is linking you with the on-campus students. And yeah, I think I'll cover that a bit more on the next slide. So that's your year one. And then in year two, you revisit those optional courses. So if something you didn't manage to do the first time round, in year two, you get to go back and revisit it. So you can then choose another option from the list in year one for semester one. You choose 2 for semester 2, but because you've got quite a big workload in semester 2, we run that into semester 3 again. So your assessments and things for the courses in semester 2 and year 2 run long into June time. So you've got, normally our courses are 10 to 12 weeks when we're running them on campus, but for you guys in semester 2 and 3, you can consume the materials over a longer time period to allow you to kind of catch up. And then you will have a summer. I think this is something that somebody said to me the other day. He's like, oh, do I get the summer off? I'm like, well, yeah, we try and wrap things up by, it's not always the case. I think we're looking at doing it better for next year, but we do try and wrap things up in kind of June, end of June, kind of early July time, to allow a little bit of time off over that summer period before you start back in September. So there is a summer holiday as such. So that's year 2. And then if you want to go on to complete the full MSc, we have our year 3, which is the project. This is the kind of crown jewels for me of the MSc program, where you will spend the whole year, because it's part-time, obviously, getting 60 credits we're doing a major project. So that's when you get linked with one of us as a supervisor, and we normally, for the distance learning, we come up with a project with you. So for example, if you're based at a sports club, you're based out in work or in clinical practice or something, and you have an idea or something you can implement or something you want to do or test or know about within your work, we can work that into your project. So you can actually do some real research where you're working. If you're not working and you're purely doing kind of the MSc, but you're just remote, then we have other opportunities, for doing systematic reviews, secondary data analysis. We've got a whole bunch of things that you can do if you don't have a project in mind, so don't worry about that. Okay, so that's an overview of the whole program. Hopefully I've explained how it's kind of working in practice. And just another question we get is about the 20 credits. So what exactly does that mean in terms of, reality? So 20 credits, like I said, we spread that over like the 10, 12 weeks of material, a little bit longer for your assessment, so you get a bit more time to consume it. But they say that 20 credits is about 200 hours worth of work. It seems like quite a lot, but I would say in reality, It's not it probably 8 to 16 hours a week maybe. So you know, some evenings or weekends if you are working. So it is possible people do manage to fit it in around their schedules. Which brings me on to the kind of format of the courses. So our online learning platform that you'll get to know and love is Moodle. And you also have Microsoft Teams, and that's where our discussions happen. So in Moodle, literally from the start, we introduce it kind of a week at a time. So it's not like, oh my God, there's 12 weeks worth of material. I can't even cope. We drip feed it week at a time to fit in with the on campus, but then you can go back in and, you know, you can follow it week by week, or if you have something that you're really busy for the time period, you can do 2 weeks at a time. Like, we don't mind when you consume the materials. But typically all the stuff is there online for you. Okay, so there's videos and podcasts and readings, and there's narrative behind that as well to explain what you're doing. We outline how long it should take for most of the courses as well. Your assessments are up there from the start, so you know what you need to do by when. And then there's normally a task at the end of each week, or at the end of each week that we deliver. And that's when we link in with the on-campus students. So the on-campus students will go out, like I said, to Garscube or come and do some stuff with me in the clinic, and do some testing, and we get them to like video and post chat and things about the practical stuff they're doing, and they'll put that on Teams with videos and things that they've recorded, so you'll get to see what we're talking about in the online stuff. I think this is a really nice part of what we do, is that if you want to see and be part of, you know, be in contact with real people and things, but be remote, then it's completely possible to kind of get that experience. And I think that's one of the nice aspects. But equally, we know there's a lot of students who want to come on, they consume, and they want to go and get the qualification. That is also fine. You will still get the same degree at the end of the day, whether you engage in some of the tasks or not. But we're just trying to give you the best learning experience with you being online. There's also a residential week, which we run every year. Now, at the moment, we've just run it for first years, but I think it's opening up more and more to people who maybe couldn't do it in the first year and they want to come back and do it in their second year. So basically, over the time that you're with us, you can attend the residential week, which is normally about mid-June. I think this year it's the week of the 14th of June, where you come on campus, and each day you basically have a guest expert who's going to come in and tell you about some of the courses that you've done. So this week, I know Mike is coming in to do all his stuff, all the practical stuff and all the really applied sports science. Douglas and John will come in and do research methods and stats, so you actually get a chance to meet them. We have a lunch normally on the Wednesday where you meet all the staff. We take you out for a nice lunch. We have a lab session, so you come in and use the lab equipment. I can't think who else we've got. Oh, and you go to Hampden Sports Clinic as well. So you get to do all the stuff kind of that we do on campus, but condensed. This is optional though. So there are some people we have out in Australia and Canada, across the globe, and we don't expect you to fly over for this. But if you want to, and you can, or you get funding or support, then this is another opportunity to come and meet us if you want to. So like I said, residential week is optional, but it gives you a little bit more kind of contact with the program if you can do it. I also said, like, with you guys being online, it's really important that you have access to all the, if something's not working, you need to tell us, basically. So we have, this is Jenny Crow in the photo. She's the one on the right, not the robots, although I'm sure in the future we can look at automating some more things that we do. No, Jenny is head of our digital support team. So with herself, we've got Paul and Chris as well, who work on that team, and they will help make sure that you get set up. So at the beginning of when you start the semester, they'll be there to give a session to make sure that all your IT needs and everything that you need is kind of supported. Even when we find it a lot with assessments as well, like when you're trying to submit some assessments and something's just not going well, you contact the digital team and they sort you out. They're absolutely excellent. And so it's really great that we have that resource there on the online program. And then, like I said, I think I've kind of covered this already, but about this idea about the research projects, that it's this big part of what you do if you choose to do the full MSc. But it can include any type of work that you'd be interested in. It has to be research orientated, but it can be an internship, it can be outreach work, it can be systematic review, it can be data analysis, whatever you kind of fancy. And I think it's a really interesting part of the MSc. Graduate destinations. So where where do we go afterwards? I think it's slightly different for the distance learning students. So a lot of our on-campus students are earlier in their careers than the distance learning students typically. And some of them have just come straight from undergraduate degrees before they've kind of got out to be in the field. So the graduate, a lot of people who come on for the distance learning already have their kind of career kind of set up, and they're looking at expanding and adding to it. So, but if you are looking at changing kind of jobs, or you are looking at expanding in jobs, the way that we seem to have graduate destinations are things within sports medicine. So we have loads of people who go on to be team doctors, strength and conditioning experts, sports scientists within team sports, within sports in general. Sorry, my cat has come to say hello and wants to welcome you to the program. Lots of people who are physios or going on to be more specific in physio, like they want to be a sports physio and they want to get that kind of additional kind of team support and things like that. So loads of people go on to work within physio, more specifically in sport. Strength and conditioning, people go on to do PhDs, they go to do further research. So quite a lot of our students do that. And one of the examples I like to come full circle here when I tell you about our teaching staff is that Katie Stewart, who is the director of Hampden Sports Clinic, is a former alumni of the MSc herself. So you can see that this is a stepping stone onto greater things, to bigger things. Obviously Katie is a really good example of how the MSc can help kickstart you towards the career that you want to do, because she went on to do a PhD and then she's very much applied, does a lot in kind of cardiac events within sport, and now runs our sports injuries program for us. So that's me coming to the end of my presentation. There's probably some questions. I saw something come up in the chat, so I'll address that in a minute. But some of the questions we'll get asked about is graduate destinations, which I've hopefully covered. How do I juggle my work and my studies? And again, hopefully by giving you some details about the program, you've got more of an idea of how you might fit it in, about how the semesters how we can make things run long, the support that you can kind of get from the digital team, you know, how you can maybe look at fitting in that into your day, into your life. Hopefully now you've got a bit more detail than there is available online. Talked a bit about the time commitments, you know, some examples of how people consume the material. Like there is some people who are actually based in the army who come and do the MSc, and they're out on deployment. So they go away for a certain amount of time and then come back and do like 4 weeks in a chunk on their annual leave. So there's loads of different ways to do this, but it is meant to be part-time for you guys. And I've explained a little bit more about how the online practicals work. So a lot of the time you'll see videos, or we'll set you tasks where it's possible to you to go and do your own kind of testing of things. But hopefully, between the online materials, the chat with the on-campus students, and the tasks we set you, you do get the a bit more of the experience of the practical aspect of things as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just now and open up the chat. What are the core courses for the PG? Yes. So the only core course that we have, so if you're looking at doing the PG Cert first and then the PG Dip and then the MSc and choosing to come in out on that, so that whole first year is basically the certificate, the second year is the Dip, and then adding on the project is the full MSc. So you have to do research methods as a core in that first year, and then you do your other your other 2 courses for your 60 credits. So basically the certificate's 60 credits, add on another 60 for the Dip, which are all optional courses, add on the 60 credits for the project, and that's your full MSc. When I don't need to write up a thesis and less likely to go through research methods. Yeah, it is a core project, core course for the stats and research methods, purely because people need that for doing research kind of outside of when they go back into practice. So I don't know if that's answered your question. So I've just realized that was a direct question actually. So if I don't answer any of these questions or you're not happy, then please raise a hand actually, and then we can bring you on to kind of answer as well. Another question in the chat is, what does a week of study look like? webinars, workshops, readings. How often do I get interaction with my program leads? So yeah, each week is quite a different kind of selection. I actually had one of the courses open. I'm wondering if I can just quickly share that so you can have a look at what it looks like. So this is my view that you're going to see. Here we go. So this is exercise prescription. You should be able to see that now. Yeah, there we go. Let me move you out of the way. Yeah, so you can see here, actually, we have little taskbars to see how much you've kind of completed each week. And you can see we've got introduction to exercise prescription, exercise testing, behavior change, exercise testing in cardiovascular disease, cancer, pregnancy, things like that. There's a catch-up week there as well. And then if I click on exercise testing, you should see that you get your learnings for the week, and I always do a little what's in your lesson kind of bit. So there are 4 sessions of your lesson. First of all, read this paper, then do this, watch this video, try and give you some timings and things in there as well. And then when you click on your lesson, this is when you actually start. Like I said, no. So you'll get a different view when you come in, but you'll go straight into this. So saying what papers to read. When you've done that, you'll click next, go on to your next one, and then there's some videos and things. You just click on that or watch the video, and then there's a little narrative there for the courses. So you should be kind of this is us talking you through it as we kind of go along. So that is the kind of format of what you kind of get online. And I think if I skip to the end of this one, you'll see there's all the exercise testing. There's a task at the end. So this is a very practical one where we take you through a lot of the kind of practical tests within. So here we go. Here's a task, for example. So you get given a task, you go away and test this yourself. I basically say, look at for validation studies, post it, take videos of yourself doing it, post it on Teams, and then that's the kind of end of your lesson for that week. So that's just an example of one of our courses and what it kind of looks like. Are virtual students able to access the same educational resources and career resources as full-time students? For example, any in-person guest lectures and careers fairs? Yes. So definitely, you can see that this exact material goes to the on-campus students. So they get the same material as you, but they come and see us, obviously, for their online session, their in-person sessions, which we then use Teams to communicate to you online. But yes, you should get as much as we can. We replicate what we're doing in person here. Guest lecturers and things as well. Mike does a really good, I think you've had a lot from last year, so Mike has recorded a lot of the guest lectures that come on. We don't do live sessions typically, though, because they don't tend to work with the time zones that we have for our international students. But anything that we do that's new, we get the digital team to edit, upload for like the week after kind of thing. So everything will be made available to you if there's a guest kind of lecturer. Just, I'm not a therapist and only get a marketing degree. Can I take the PG certs? Yes. The only course where you can't that is specific, maybe just for doctors and physios, if I'm interpreting this right, is one of the Hampden have 2 sports injuries courses. One is specifically for people who are doctors and physios, so you need a background in either physiotherapy or medicine for that, but we assess that when you come in. For those who don't fit that criteria, the sports injuries course is available for everybody else. So you still get sports injuries, but the doctors and physios get a very specific one, but everything else you should be fine. If you've hit the criteria for entry, then you can undertake the certificate, diploma and the MSc. So yeah, Lindsay's put the entry requirements on there for you. So just to double check, but yeah, have a look at that. But typically, if you've got a sports or kind of injury background, then there are some students that we make, we assess their degrees individually and we have a look and see if we kind of fit the criteria. Mike's also said about the guests, quite often guests will leave their contact information too, and you want to reach out for them. Yeah, quite a lot of them do that actually.
We also, Gemma, there's quite a few of the guests will actually, because we use Teams, we're able to add the guest to the Teams discussion. So they actually become active in the pre-tasks. So if there's any tasks linked to the session, the person who's delivering the session is actually in that discussion forum. So you can quite often interact with them on that as well. I've done that a few times in the last year.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's we have a lot of contacts between us. And you know, we're bringing people who are you know, direct from the field, who are working in these areas. So for me, I bring a lot of people in from like Parkinson's UK and different kind of charities and things like that. So you really are getting the kind of experts from the area. I'm sorry, I've just been signposted to another comment. Same thing. I have an English degree and a 5-year of yoga and therapeutic background. We get that quite a lot, and it's something that we are looking at a lot more. Typically, we have to address that on a like an individual basis. So what we'll do quite often is when people put their application in and it doesn't fit the criteria for the degree, we get a notification and then we assess it individually. Because we typically want people to have had some kind of science background, but I think that is changing slightly. So we have to assess it on an individual basis to make sure, because we go straight into a lot of physiology and things like that. And what we don't want is people coming onto the program and not being as aware of the kind of the basic kind of physiology and things like that. So we assess people on a one-to-one basis in that case. Can we expect to rely on the admission submission? When can we expect to reply to the admission submission? Lindsay, I don't know if you've got anything on what happens with admissions.
Yeah, the admissions team are doing applications periodically, so I think there's different rounds, so I can post a link for that. I'll just send that up here. Yeah, so they're monitoring it. It's not just one intake, there's like 6 applications, so there's the last one is, let's see, so applications need to be submitted by the 28th of July at the very latest, but I can put all this on. Okay.
Thank
So
you,
that's
Lindsay.
the last lot of applications, yep.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a, yeah, depending on when the submissions kind of go in, when you get kind of response from that.
Yeah,
Do we have any?
Sorry,
Yeah.
just to
No,
highlight
there
the previous round of applications, which was 25th of March to the 12th of May, that will be reviewed and a decision will be made by the 16th of June for that round of applications. So if you've obviously applied between 25th of March and the 12th of May, you should get a response mid-June. And then the next round's obviously the dates that I've obviously uploaded there. So yeah, we're doing it in different rounds this year.
See, Anil has that put a question in about taster courses for someone who hasn't fully decided on future courses. I think the easy answer to that is no. Like we can't give people who aren't registered at University of Glasgow access to the courses. So yes, unfortunately not. Like I'm hoping we've tried to give you some detail in sessions like this. There's also quite a lot of online material that I've produced to try and talk people through the courses a lot more, but we can't actually give people access to the actual courses because you need to be registered as a student for that. So try to very quickly go through some of the questions. I don't know if I've missed anything. I don't know if anybody wants to repost a question, because I've got quite a lot coming up in either direct messages or not. If you want to put anything else in the chat, or if you feel that has been largely covered, or you can come on and talk to us as well. That's also an option.
I've just uploaded as well the programme structure. So if you click on that link, you can see all the individual courses, and that will give you the learning outcomes and more course content and the aims of the course. So that might be beneficial as well when deciding on what course you wish to enrol on.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Lindsay. So obviously this won't be the last opportunity to have contact with us. So I'm just going to, it should be online anyway, but basically you can email us directly, and I will, what is my email? So you can send me an email if you have any questions, or sometimes I'm quite a reflective thinker. I like to kind of hear something, think about it, and then ask further kind of follow-up questions if anything isn't clear. So please feel free to drop me a line, and I will be able to answer kind of further questions. If you had anything specific for Mike as well, I know he'd be happy to answer any kind of questions there as well. So there's another question just come in. Let's see if I can answer it. For someone from a non-maths background, how difficult is data analysis part of the program? Well, if you want to know, I'm almost completely inept at stats, so I seem to do okay in our program. Yeah, it's good actually. I think there was a query about whether we should be doing research methods and stats. I think it's a core thing that you need. Like this is an academic program as well. There's lots of practical aspects, but it's not a coaching qualification. This is an MSc from the, it's a master's in research as well. So you need to have the basics in research methods and statistics. Like that's an absolute essential moving forward in any aspect of what we do, to various levels. Like I don't know, Mike, even looking at data analytics and things like that, you still need to do the stats and things like that. So I think basically we cater it to a level of a non-maths person and a non-statistician. We start you at the start, but it's definitely something that you need to at least be aware of and get your head around. Mike, I don't know what your thoughts are on a day job.
Yeah, I've got quite a specific view on this. A lot of it's driven by my own experience, but I certainly would not profess to be any good at maths, what you would consider maths, but I can certainly do statistics. I find them quite different. I can run data analysis and I can interpret it and I can sort of disseminate information, but I don't have a particularly strong maths background. I think the two skills are quite different. And we certainly try to make that apparent and to teach or to cater for both camps, as Gemma says. So there's certainly in the tech and sport and exercise course, one of my courses, one of the assessments is linked to being able to analyse and present data. So the software that we're using is doing the maths for you. You just have to learn how to analyse and what parts to pick out it, and that's the kind of part that we would teach more strongly, if that helps.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike. Here's another question about optional courses and micro credentials. At the moment, it's not set up for that. We don't have micro credentials on the course. It is for the MSc. Something that we can obviously look into, but that wouldn't be available for this year. So unless anybody has any further questions, I don't know, Lindsay, Mike, or Neil, if there's anything else that I've missed or you'd like to cover.
Nothing from me.
No?
All good.
Then I'll probably call this session to a close. As I said, please get in touch if you have any further questions, either if it's very kind of entry requirement based or to do with the administration side of stuff, then to contact Lindsay. Anything to do with specific courses and the outline of the courses in the program, then you can contact myself or you can contact Mike as well. But I hope that's been helpful, and hopefully we look forward to speaking to you again at some point. So thank you very much for your time.